preparation for this AGM, I was looking, for some inspiration, and it came to me in the form of a quote from Dr. Seuss. And he said the one time that unless somebody like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. And that's resonated with me quite a bit for tonight and for kind of what's happening with Gardens Watch. In particular, it resonates with me on a deep level, and I want to extend my deepest gratitude and thanks to both Marie and Dagmar for caring such an awful lot about Gardens Watch this past year. We've come close to shutting it down a few times, but we've made it through, and those two really do continue to make our neighborhood better. So yeah, I looked at all the old reports and the AGM minutes and what have you for the last few years, and the same themes and struggles remain, and the question of our long-term sustainability remains. And the community wants us to do more than what we can offer based on the resources which they provide us with. So I'm therefore very glad that the community is exploring other models to make our neighborhood better. And, thanks, Ryan, and your steering committee, of course, for caring enough to mobilize that Lower Garden City Improvement District. So my little chair report, I suppose, when I look back, we struggled. We struggled so much this year with a lack of support, both in terms of volunteers and finances. And so our quest was just to survive and to maintain our current initiatives. Much more recently, we've had a very welcome injection of fresh ideas and enthusiasm. We've got new volunteers to the team, and we've hosted a variety of community events. So Agnese, thank you so much. You've been engaging the community, not only on your mural project, but with the much anticipated Halloween event this weekend. Kevin and Hannah did a great job with the flyers and putting together the spring social last week, which I think was a great success. So I'm hopeful. I have to step down after tonight. My 3 years as chair has come to an end. And as for the Constitution, I cannot serve longer. And so I'm very excited to introduce Matthew. He's going to talk a little bit later and introduce himself, but he is the nominated chair for 23 to 24. And so I'm confident he's going to have great support from the EXCO team. And thank you so much to Matthew for taking on the reins and building this community. We want to achieve our vision of being clean, safe, and caring, and I think we are well positioned to do that. So what's happened since the last AGM? Residents come and go. Our community does move quite a bit, but they obviously value what we do because they continue to sign up or renew their membership annually. So we make sure that everyone has to renew their membership annually. It continues to grow throughout the year. Almost all members will want to access our crime alert group, and following that, our chat group on WhatsApp. So much of our value as a watch is clearly tied up to these two WhatsApp groups. And often we don't get to hear from members between the time they sign up and when they have to renew their membership. So people are either appreciating the community updates, or they feel very secure knowing that in the event of trouble, then they can access help from our service providers. So as far as membership, I'm a little bit frustrated in that we are unable to insist on membership fees, and that's due to the rules and regulations imposed by the Western Cape Department of Police Oversight and Community Safety, now called POCS. It used to be called DOCS, which was the Department of Community Safety. And basically, in real terms, our members are under absolutely no obligation to provide us any support, financial or otherwise, in exchange for the benefits which they sign up for. So for me, it's a rather nonsensical proposition for an organization, but there you go. We have to follow those rules and regulations set out by the department. So I'll just run through a few of our initiatives and what we've been busy with. Our WhatsApp channels, those, as I mentioned, we've got two very distinct WhatsApp groups, the Crime Alert group and the chat group. The Crime Alert group is for emergencies only, right? And we've really tried to push that hard when we communicate in the last year or so. There are guests on this group, which include SAPS, law enforcement, Watchcom, CBAR, patrollers from our neighboring watches, and they really can't be expected to wade through alerts and opinions and chats and what have you when there's an emergency and we want them to respond quickly. So to remain effective, it has to be kept for alerts only. The chat group, on the other hand, provided that the opinions and chat remain friendly, you are more than welcome to post whatever you like there. And so that's to keep our community engaged and informed. It's the forum to ask questions, get ward committee updates. We have fundraising messages, cleaning updates, whatever it is that relates to what's happening in our part of Gardens. And this, of course, then frees up the emergency crime alert group for emergencies only. And we've seen that that crime alert group has been effective in addressing emergencies. Again, I noticed I used Ingo's example at last year's AGM, but this year he's had another recent example where he had a call for assistance with the structure going up on Glyn and Batenkant, and the response was immediate and the structure was dismantled. And so the crime group is definitely working. Our other big claim to fame, of course, is our cleaning team, and Marie's going to talk a little bit about that in a moment. Marie has done an absolutely incredible job for the last 2 years. Our team is more professional, they're happier, our operations are smoother. She's implemented a number of systems. So we really have so much to be thankful to Marie for. But I think the time's come for others to step up, and we need to let Marie step down. I mean, she's been such a dedicated volunteer to our community for the last 2 years, but this cleaning project shouldn't be a lifetime commitment. So I really want to appeal to everybody, if we need help with that cleaning project, and we need to, whether we restructure or someone new comes on board, but we do need to look at how we run the cleaning team moving forward. As far as engaging with our stakeholders, of course, we are ultimately responsible or report to SAPS, and that is in the form of the Community Policing Forum. I want to thank SAPS for their efforts. Contrary to popular belief, there are plenty of good SAPS officers working really hard to serve our community, and they need our support. And they often work under extremely challenging circumstances that the community just doesn't have any understanding of. And therefore, please learn more about SAPS, learn how we can work with them rather than against them or around them. I've been attending the monthly CPF meetings regularly. That's a general meeting for all the 6 sectors that make up the SAPS central precinct. So that's a general meeting with a number of law enforcement and security partners. But then there is also a monthly subsector 1 meeting, and that we fall part of sector 1. So that's downtown, the CBD, and our part of Gardens. Unfortunately, due to a lack of volunteers, we don't currently enjoy representation at that meeting. It happens during office hours and is usually chaired by the CCID. And so it's a real pity, because that's the platform to raise our specific issues. I try and keep in touch with SAPS as much as possible, and so I then attend a regular meeting by Captain Carstens, which is focused on the sectors 2, 3, and 4, and 5, if I remember. And that is with all the other neighborhood watches. So that's the residential parts of the city bowl. And that we had one last night, and it's valuable just to hear what kind of crime's happening and what the trends are and what have you. I also participate in the City of Cape Town law enforcement meetings. Francine, as part of her ward for 77, hosts these meetings. And that is another opportunity just to understand the wider city bowl security context and raise our issues with city officials. Recently, I went to have a look at the Fusion Center, which houses the city's cameras and their camera project. And it's really impressive. There are a lot of initiatives out there to keep us safer. But it's also our responsibility to learn or to know when to access what resource in what situation. when the emergency presents itself, like there's a shack going up, you need an instant response. You need to call law enforcement. So it frustrates me no end when I still see people logging online and doing a C3 request for law enforcement for an instant response to, you know, dismantling a shack. You just, that isn't going to work. And so we need to educate ourselves as to what security authorities are out there and what help they can provide and how to use that. We also have representation on our ward committees, both Ward 115 and 77. And I think that's something we need to use that more effectively. Francine and Ian were going to attend this evening. I'll have to check if they're on the call, but I do want to really thank them for having us on both of their ward committees. It allows us to access issues with the city directly. So we can raise our area's issues directly with them, and they can provide us with direct feedback. So thank you very much to Dagmar and Lo for being our representatives. Dagmar in particular has been extremely effective in communicating information in this regard. So a massive thank you to her for the role she plays in liaising between the community and the City of Cape Town. You would have seen her notes on the WhatsApp group, whether it's about recycling or the empty houses on Maynard Street and the security issues, or Maynard Park or water meters. You know, she's all over it, and we are very thankful. I also want to mention the Hope Exchange. They're a local NGO in our area, and they do great work under difficult circumstances, fighting homelessness. But I want to mention them tonight just because they've also supported our cleaning project. They store our equipment, and they've been very generous in assisting Marie with additional support as needed. And so keep them in mind. They also struggle with funding, and they're faced with an impossible task of fighting homelessness without the necessary resources to do it. They've got, you can obviously make donations. That's, you know, I don't have to stress that too much, but I would like to encourage you to support their car wash on Roland Street. It's a fantastic service. Depending on the size of your car, it's 140 to 160 Rand. And it's just a great service. It's local, and it goes to a great cause. The other important community initiative in our area is WatchCom, and that is the neighborhood watch hub for all the City Bowl neighborhood watches. You can call WatchCom day or night for assistance. They operate 24/7. And in the event of an emergency or criminal incident, they have access to a very wide range of service providers in our area. So that's SAPS, law enforcement, SANParks, CBAR, ADT, the fire department, medics, traffic, other neighborhood watches. They really are an amazing resource, and they continue to support our watch, particularly when we do patrols. You know, we're in constant communication with them too. And we typically relay any serious issues that come up on the Crime Watch alert group to them, and they respond quickly. I've avoided having them on the Crime Watch group directly, just because I've seen other groups take advantage of them and make just such ridiculous requests. And they're always very gracious and always, you know, acknowledge those requests. But yes, that's just how I see the situation there. Our other neighboring watches are also super important. Crime obviously doesn't respect boundaries, and so we have to work with our neighbors, and it's proved invaluable. Each watch has its own flavor, priorities, and personalities, but experience has shown that they are all very willing to work together and share information as needed. And there are so many fabulous volunteers working in this space, and we are privileged to have access to them. So I do want to thank DPV, OH, TBK, Upper District 6, Regular District 6, and U-Watch in Woodstock. That makes our work so much easier. So with all of that in mind, I think our value proposition remains. I've mentioned this in previous years too. We are looking to offer a clean suburb, give you a voice to engage, and we offer this wide network of varied service providers. And so with that, we can achieve our vision of a clean, safe, caring community. So well done to all the volunteers involved in the success of Gardens Watch to date. And yeah, I look forward to seeing where we go from here. So that is